in this class. So today we'll be discussing about sponsored candle and momentum. So the first idea of understanding sponsored candle is by understanding our what the structure part that we have done so far. So now let's take for example, if market is on downtrend, so the major sponsored candle that we do look for are the bearish sponsored candle. The bearish sponsored candle. If market is on downtrend, the bearish sponsored candle. So the last candle, be it more of a body or more of weak. The last candle at a peak high is your sponsored candle. The last candle, both the volume, both the wick and the body, is your sponsored candle. That's what we call a sponsored candle. So at this very level, the last candle are around these highs are what we call sponsored candle. So most times price do use it to continue structure. Price do use it to continue structure. So at these peak highs that you are seeing here, those highs are what we call sponsored candle. At these peak highs, those highs are what we call sponsored candle. Though there are some sponsored candle around these lows, but we don't care much about those ones. Why? Because we are on on downtrend. So we care more about where we join the trend. We care more about where we join the trend. That is that. So after every impulsive move, there must always be a corrective wave. So impulsive wave is on downtrend. Impulsive wave is always on since we are on downtrend, impulsive wave are the downtrend move. The downtrend move. The downtrend move. So those are the impulsive wave. That means that is the major move that market is giving us. So why this one that is against flow of price are what we call a corrective wave. A corrective wave. Corrective wave. That means market is correcting itself before continuation of the sell. So it correcting itself before continuation of the sell. So these are what we call a corrective wave. While the downside is the impulsive wave. So all these highs, the last candle above them, on all time frame are sponsored candle. Sponsored candle. Sponsored candle means SC is sponsored candle. SC means sponsorship or sponsored candle. SC means sponsorship or sponsored candle. So that is our sponsorship candle. So it's the one that that led price to break this low. That the one that led price to break these lows. That the one that led price to break this low. So sponsorship candle is the candle that initiate a major move. So is the power candle. So it's the one that give the other candles strength to initiate this very down move. So those are what we call sponsored candle. So these highs that you are seeing here, all are sponsored candle. All these highs that you are seeing here, they are all sponsored candle. The last candle above all these highs are what we call sponsored candle. Now another part of this sponsored candle now is this. Now when market, you already know that you're on downtrend. Now when market gives something like this, now let's take for example, when market gave us something like this. The last candle here is your sponsored candle. So it rated this very high. It rated this very high. So all these highs and lows are what we call liquidity. Highs and lows are what we call liquidity. Highs, this low here is liquidity. We explain it in terms of structure since we already entering the main mentorship. So we explain it in terms of structure since we already entering the main mentorship. So this low is liquidity. This high is liquidity. So the ability to know the one that market will read, that's why you join the mentorship. And where to what where to join the buy with what little risk, with what little risk. So now, since this is your what a swing low, this is a what a swing high, that is lower low, a lower high. So this is where we call what our sponsorship candle. This last candle, the last candle here, be it bullish or bearish, is your what your sponsorship candle or sponsored candle. So that is your what your sponsored candle. So market now made a lower low. So that is what your sponsored candle. This high, the last candle here, is your what your sponsored candle. That is that about what sponsored candle. Now, another part of this sponsored candle is this. Now, let's take, for example, market made it traded these two highs. It traded these two what? These two highs. It traded this what? Two highs. So this last candle here, the last candle, depending on each time frame, the time frame that you are following structure, any time frame that you are following structure, any time frame that you are following structure, any time frame that you are following structure. The last candle at that peak high is what your sponsored candle. The last candle at that peak high is your what your sponsored candle. So that is your what SC candle around this high area. So the last candle around this high is your what your sponsored candle. So why? Because it take these two highs before what initiating this move. That means to take a high, it's not easy for price to take any high or low. Then it requires what a lot of what liquidity and what strength before taking any high. So those liquidity are money. So banks or big players, they will what invest or they will what use big lot size to be able to take out this high before selling. So that's why we call those highs or the last candle the what is sponsored candle. So because it's not what easy to what to rate this double top before selling. So those are what sponsored candle. So you can have also a sponsored candle here, but we don't care more about this sponsored candle, the last candle here before this buy move. We can have that as what sponsored candle, but we don't care more about it. Why? Because we are in what up trend. We are on what on down trend. We are in what we are on down trend. So this is it. A lower low is formed. So that means any candle that take a high or a low before breaking structure, let's say on a downtrend, any candle that take any high or a low before what forming a lower low is what a bearish sponsored candle, just like your normal order block, ICT bearish and bullish order block. So we care more about the liquidity that what it takes. Just like what I said, this low is a liquidity, this high is a liquidity. So as market is around this area, till we are done with what we are doing in this mentorship, you will not be able to say market now we take this low or we take this high. But based on what other flow of price or based on what the trend of that particular price, you'll be able to understand that we are what on down trend, that it will what take this to what downside. It will take that downside liquidity before what giving another corrective wave to the upside. So those highs and lows are what we call sponsored candle in a downtrend. In an uptrend, the same thing. In an uptrend, the same process. In an uptrend, the same process. So in an uptrend, the same process. The last candle here is your sponsored candle. The last candle here is your sponsored candle. Depending on that time frame that you are following what structure, the last candle here is your sponsored candle. The last candle here is your sponsored candle. That is what we call what a sponsored candle. So if we take another liquidity, the same process, you create a high, a higher low, a high, low high then before creating a higher high. Now this is also what a sponsored candle. This last candle here is also what a sponsored candle. That is SC. The same process. If we create a high, a low, a sponsored candle. Why? Because it's not easy to read this double bottom. It's not easy to read this very double bottom before this buy move. It's not what easy. So this last candle here is what your sponsored candle. That last candle there is your what sponsored candle before market broke structure to the what upside. Before market broke structure to the what upside. So this is your sponsored candle. Now momentum. Momentum momentum is the strength or the magnitude on what a body of what a candle in a specific direction is the strength on a body of a candle, the appearance of that candle. If it's what big with strength, that is what we call momentum. So when a body of a candle is shown very big with speed on it, when market was forming it, it formed this very candle with speed, and the candle is very long and big enough. So this shows that there's bearish momentum on this very candle. This shows that there's bearish momentum on this very candle. So this is what we call momentum. This is what we call momentum on what a body of what a candle is. We call it what momentum. Okay, we call it what momentum. That's what we call momentum. So now let's take example. Now the last candle here on this monthly time frame, this last candle, the last is a bearish candle here. You can see it, black candle, that is bearish. It's your what SC candle. The last candle here is your what SC candle. You always add both the wick and the body. The last candle there is your what SC candle. The candle that initiates this move. The same thing. This one will be on weekly. The last candle, same process. Last candle is your bearish SC candle. The last candle before any specific move is your bearish SC candle. Is your bearish SC candle. Since we're on downtrend on this pair, so that means we are having bearish SC candle on the downside. On the downside. That is the major idea of what SC candle. Just like what I said earlier, like look, let's use another broker on this GBP USD. Okay, let's use IDC broker. Now on this IDC broker, now you understand that completely we are on downtrend. We are on downtrend. Even on see, let's use 6 minutes time frame. We are on downtrend. We are on downtrend. So all this last candle is your bearish order block, and that is your SC candle. That's your SC candle. Your sponsored candle. Your sponsored candle. We are just teaching you how to see it on charts, not how to use it. Note that. So even if price is not touching them or price is touching them, when price will touch them, you will know. When price will not touch them, you will know. That is that. Now, those are what we call bearish SC candle. Those are what we call bearish SC candle. Those are what we call bearish SC candle. So if you are, let's say, if you are looking at this pair clearly, perfectly. This is what the pair will do before selling again. Just note it in future. This is what price will do. Exactly. This is exactly what it will what do. This is what it will what do. So now the last candle before any specific move based on structure is what our SC candle. The last candle here is your what SC candle. That's how we understand SC. That is how we understand what SC candle, bearish or bullish. Now, what is momentum with SC candle? Now, momentum is the strength of what the buyer's candle or the bearish candle in what in a specific direction. Now, when you notice here, you will understand that the bearish candles are bigger than what the bullish candles. So this shows that we are on downtrend. This shows that we are what on downtrend. Why? Because momentum is to the downside. Momentum is to the what downside. This is the idea of momentum. This is what momentum. So this shows that what momentum is to the what downside. So if momentum is to the downside, you should understand what you are what you're trading. If momentum is to the what downside, you should understand what we are what trading on this. So on this time frame, you will understand that bearish candles have more strength than bullish candle. One, now let's look at here. Look at these bearish candles on this monthly time frame. One candle, this one candle, it engulfs more than up to 6 or 8 bullish candle here. This is to show you that we are what completely on downtrend. This is to show you that we are completely what on downtrend.